Good morning, guys. Good
What's up,
morning.
everybody? I am getting my coffee on this morning. It's breakfast with the Brookses, but first, coffee.
How you guys doing this morning? Hope you're having a great day. For those of you that don't know who we are.
You don't know? Well, I'm Glenn P. Brooks Jr. I'm an author, I'm a speaker, I'm a coach, and this lovely, beautiful
caramel.
You caramel this morning. Not just light skin. I love it. I love it. See, I'm chocolate caramel. That goes together. I like that, babe.
I'm Cherie Brooks Jr., author, speaker, relationship, and life balance coach. And it's a pleasure being with you guys this morning. Do us a favor, share this out.
Yep.
Share it out to anybody that you know that's in a relationship.
Yep.
That wants to be in a relationship.
Absolutely.
Has been in a relationship.
And more importantly, they want to be treated right.
Right.
So the title of today's message is Treat Me Right. So I want y'all to share that out very quickly. If you guys don't know, Cherie and I created an online relationship academy. It's called MAPS, Marriages and Parenting Successfully. The whole point of that group, Cherie, is to create an online place for people to come when they want community. And I know that for us, we realized that 19 years in a row, we wouldn't have made it without our community, without our tribe, without people pouring into our lives. And so every Tuesday night we get together, guys, and we basically chop it up. It's a structured environment where you come in and you get help if you are trying to grow your marriage and your parenting skills on purpose with great intentionality. That's the group for you. If you want to know more about that, go to thecrcoach.com, www.thecrcoach.com. And we certainly would love to have you. A couple people coming in the room. Shout out to Maps. Nadine, what's up? What's up?
Good morning.
Karen, how you feeling? How's everybody doing? Nikki, looks like you just jumped in.
Karen says, I think I know you guys. You think so?
You think? So, guys, we're going to get into some stuff today, and it's really inspired by several different interactions that we've had with people over the last week or so, where I am running into, and I'll just have to be honest with, I'm running into men who don't know how to treat their wives. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to say that, guys, listen to me very carefully. This is not going to be a male bashing situation.
No.
So brothers, please don't have to worry about throwing your dukes up, being ready to fight or nothing like that. But here's what I realized, Cherie. If 1 out of 3 children in America are growing up without their biological father in the home, mm-hmm. and that's a true statistic.
Right.
That's a lot of people. I think it's something like 400 million kids or something crazy like that. But it's definitely 1 out of 3. That means that on a regular basis, they're not seeing in the house what manhood being modeled looks like.
Right. And I would even dare say, even for a lot of children that the father is in the home, mm-hmm. Unfortunately, I don't know the statistic on this, but I would say that there are instances when they're still not seeing that.
Yeah.
But the issue today is not just about fathers. It's not just about men. We're just talking about people being in a relationship and not treating each other right. It can be the man. It can be the woman. And just how
do you do that? And how do you set the tone?
How do you set the tone? How do you create in a culture and environment
I like that
where you're treated properly. Mm-hmm. Often what happens in relationships, one person may be stronger than the other and they have different ideals that aren't necessarily acceptable.
Right.
But for various reasons, people
we won't say they're not normal because they are your normal,
right.
But they're not acceptable.
Right. But for some reason, and there are a number of reasons why people will accept being mistreated.
Right.
Or not treated to the best, treated the way they should be treated.
Right.
We're not necessarily talking about somebody beating you upside the head.
No, we're not necessarily talking about that kind of abuse. But what we are talking about is the more subtle stuff. It's the tone. It's how people are talking to you. It's the kind of expectations that people have. I think that one of the things that I realized very quickly when you and I got together, there were certain expectations that I came into our relationship with. Mm-hmm. And because of that, it dictated my behavior. So if I have an expectation, I'll just keep it really, really simple, that you should do all the cooking and cleaning, right? If that's look at your eyes, right? You look at your eyes. See, what y'all don't understand is that when I met Cherie, she couldn't cook very well. Am I lying, Cherie? Mm-hmm. Tell it. Come on. Don't say it like that.
No, I couldn't. I didn't really know.
Okay, thank you.
I had about 5 dishes.
She had about 5 good, strong dishes that she could do, right? And
my daughter will attest to that.
And she just didn't cook very well. Now, she would cook, no problem. I mean, but it just wasn't, but that's because she did not learn how to do that. So when I come into the relationship, if I come into the relationship because I grew up around all women who threw down, right? My expectation is that when you cook, A, you're going to want to, but B, it's going to be good. Well, that's a false expectation because I don't know who she is, right? Yet. I don't know that that's not her. We got friends that it's a couple of couples that we know very well. Right. They're not on the call.
Right. The husband does all the cooking.
The husband does all the cooking and he's great at it. As a matter of fact, quite frankly, he could open up a restaurant. That's how good he is. And his wife absolutely embraces that and she rides with it and their kids love it. You girls is like, Dad's cooking. Oh my God. Oh my God.
Right. But the problem is when one person has that expectation and it's lorded over the other person.
Yeah.
It's the, like Glenn said, it's the tone of it. It's so if we get married and Glenn has this expectation in his mind, I'm supposed to cook, clean, cook, that, it's that whole male chauvinist thing, woman's supposed to do this, and you're not supposed to do nothing else.
Right.
But I come from a background where that's not normal. That's, it was balanced.
Right.
But now I'm made to fit into this mode that's not who I am. And I'm belittled into that role.
Correct.
And that's the part we're talking about. People come into relationships with different expectations. But when you talk about them and you're able to, come to a compromise on it, that's one thing. But when you're, for lack of better terms, bullied into that position or into filling that role, that's when what we're talking about by treating me right.
Right. And that's what we mean. So Nikki just chimed in and says, well, my hubby believes that the woman is to be ruled over. And I like the word. Let me say this, as much as that sounds crazy, I like the word when she said believes. In other words, there's a belief system that he has that triggers that pushes that causes him to even feel that way. And so today, what we're going to talk about is if you're in a relationship and you feel like it's one-sided, if you're in a relationship where you're feeling like you're being controlled.
Or you're the controller.
Right. We want to talk a little bit about how to create an environment to change that. So today we're going to talk a little bit about, we're calling it Treat Me Right. And so Cherie, this morning, really early, we got up and we were just chopping it up and just talking about this morning's subject. And one of the things that you said that just messed me up is that when you came into your first marriage, because it's no secret, Cherie's been married twice before me. She has a lot of references to the dynamics of how this looks in each relationship.
Right.
In your first marriage, you really said that there was a certain way your first husband carried things that sort of made you react a certain way.
Right. And so in my first marriage, we both had our issues, first and foremost. We were young, we were immature, we had our issues. But there was a season in our marriage when he was extremely selfish. He did what he wanted to do, came and went as he pleased and did his own thing. And I accepted that because I didn't think I had any options. I thought I had to allow that. The mistreatment, my being disregarded. I grew to believe that's what marriage was. That was what this was supposed to be. But there came a point in time when I realized that I deserved to be treated better than that. I deserved better than that. That was not normal. That was not how marriage was supposed to be.
Right.
And at that point in time, I stood up and made a choice and was like, this is no longer acceptable.
Right.
For me, unfortunately, in that situation, it ended in my leaving. The solution was my leaving because things had gotten really bad. And there were several other factors that contributed to that. But I had to get to a point where I realized that the way that I'm being treated is not acceptable. Another thing that I shared with Glenn was that there are oftentimes we get into relationships. You may get in a relationship with a person and you want them to be a certain way. And so I'll use me. So not in that relationship, in relationships after that, I from that relationship, I grew to I made the switch. I was like, I'm going to be the controller now. I'm going to be the dominant.
So this is the second marriage.
Right. In other relationships, I'm going to be the dominant one.
Right.
And so I wanted somebody that I could, for lack of better terms, push around. I could control, that would do what I wanted them to do.
Right.
That would not buck, that would not question. What I realized that initially that's what I thought I wanted. But once I got into the relationship, I grew to resent that in that person. And I think that's what happens a lot of times in relationships with, especially when men are controlling.
Mm-hmm.
I think that there's a point in time where they want this woman to be this docile woman that's going to just do what they say. But I think that over time, there's actually, if they're honest with themselves, I think they grow to resent that.
I'm gonna tell you they absolutely do, and I can tell you from my own personal experience. You know, anybody ever seen that Eddie Murphy movie Coming to America? Put a 1 in the chat if you've seen that movie. Put a 1 in the chat if you've seen Coming to America, right? Or if you've heard of the movie. There is a scene in the movie at the end, or right before he's leaving Zumbunda or wherever the country was, right? He's going to America, right? Because he wants to find a wife. Mm-hmm. Because what he's going through, he's not satisfied with his options.
Right.
Because his family wants him to marry a certain kind of person, a certain type of family, or whatever the case may be. And they're presenting all these women in front of him. Nadine says 1. Nikki says got a 1. Good. I love it. I love it. Oh, by the way, sidebar, if you are a replay viewer, please do me a favor. Put the word replay in the chat so that we can know that we can greet you a little bit more personally. Zamunda. Right. Thank you, Nikki. Thank you. So here's the deal. So they're parading all these women in front of him. It's that they've chosen. It's like, okay, here's pick one. So here comes this woman who basically is bowing down to every whim, every desire, everything that she thinks he wants. And so the response is whatever you like, right?
Whatever you like.
Now, one of the
just jumping up and down.
Right. Now, I'm already getting annoyed just by her saying whatever you like. Whatever. Like, dude, like, do you have a mind?
Right.
I'd like to know what's on it.
Right.
Like, penny for your thoughts. Like, really? But the truth is, when your culture, listen to me carefully, guys, and I'm just using that as an example. Culture can be whatever you grew up in.
Right.
When your culture dictates that that's the way things roll, the truth is you will ride around with that thought process on a regular basis, and it becomes what you are used to. It's what's normal for you.
Right. But I think that when you're exposed to other things as you grow, as you mature, your outlook changes. And I think that's what happens in relationships. So you may get in a relationship with a person and I'll use my situation. I wanted this person that I could lord over, I could control, that would do what I wanted to, that would agree. I'm not going to say Lord, that would agree with me. Mm-hmm. That would not buck, would let me do what I wanted to do, would let me kind of pretty much run things.
That is such a DC thing, buck. He didn't buck on me, or maybe it's a street thing. I don't know, but go ahead.
And so, but over time, after we got together, I grew to resent that because and we all grown here on the call. After a while, I'm like, dude, where your balls at?
Right.
I need you to step up. But that's the person that I got in a relationship was the person that was going to let me run things.
Right.
And so after a while, when I got wore out, I got tired and I wanted him to step up. He's like, well, you've been carrying it this long. And let me tell you what I know about men. Oftentimes, and most people are this way, but men either are going to like it and accept it, or they're going to leave. Right.
One of the two. They're not going to play both sides of the fence all throughout the relationship. They're going to accept what is happening and just go with it, right? That's the passive man. It's not, no disrespect, but the passive man will say, no worries, I'll just go with it, especially if his temperament is such that he's just a sort of a even keel, a melancholy, not even but a phlegmatic type of a temperament where he's just kind of easygoing guy anyway. Mm-hmm. He will quickly adapt and just go with that. But the aggressive dude, the type A personality, the choleric temperament, or even the sanguine temperament guy is the guy that will say, look, I'm done. I'm gone. I'm not putting up with this. And what happens is that you'll get one or the other. Well, when Cherie is saying that she wanted someone who will just go along, and then all of a sudden she realizes that that's inappropriate, or that doesn't look right, or she wants something different, he now can't give her what he's been trained to do.
Right.
And the vice versa is true for women to men.
Right. And I think on the flip side, dealing with women and men, what happens is a man who is controlling, a man who is dominant, or who lords over the woman, who wants the woman to do this, and this, and he's going to just do his own thing, whatever. What happens is that they get accustomed to that. That's what they say that they want. That's what they want at home. But I'm going to give you guys a little tip. Most men that say they want this doormat of a wife, and I'm going to use the term doormat because in a lot of ways you've become a doormat because you allow them to.
Or a woman. It could be his girlfriend.
Right. Whoever it is. You become this person that just does whatever they want them to do. You have no mind of your own. You don't speak up. You don't. And we're talking about that extreme. We're not talking about, I know we talked earlier about the whole cooking piece. That's very minor. We're talking about the more extreme situations. A man like that will find a woman that is assertive, a woman that knows herself, that is sure in herself. He'll find that woman attractive outside of the home. But he wants you to remain this docile woman, but that's not really what he wants. He thinks that's what he wants, but he's attracted to, there's something attractive about a woman that is sure in herself.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that you rise up and become a bee, become this, argumentative, nagging person. But I think that part of the issue is that we allow people to treat us in a certain way because we feel like we have no options. Now, even if you got into the relationship and you were cool with that, and if you're cool with it, that's fine. If that's if that's what you want, God bless you. Ain't nobody mad. But and that's why I said we're not talking the whole cooking thing. That's not. Yeah. We're not talking about necessarily roles. We're talking about when it becomes abusive. And when I say abusive, we're talking about emotionally abusive, mentally abusive. When it gets to the point that your self-esteem is being attacked daily because this person is belittling you. They're demeaning you because they're making you feel like you're nothing.
Yep.
They're making you feel little.
Yep.
When you get to the point where that's not acceptable for you any longer, you have to institute boundaries. You have to start saying no. Yep.
And before you go there, Cherie, something that Nikki said that I think is really, really appropriate. I'm going to help you guys out. Nikki said, you can be dominant as a man as long as you do it respectfully, collaboratively, and can support the family. When you mess up, you lose that position. Let me say this, and I just want to make sure that you guys are really clear. What Nikki just got finished describing is a leader.
Right. And that's not what we're talking about.
And we are absolutely saying that men should be leaders.
Right.
You should be, and leadership is assertiveness. Leadership is a degree of aggressiveness. Leadership is being decisive, swift with your ability to make a decision. I could keep going down the characteristics.
Leadership is not demeaning. Leadership is not belittling. Leadership is not making you feel less than.
Right. And
that's not leadership.
And as a leader, when you screw up and you do something that sort of undermines your own leadership, it will take away your authority to a large degree. In other words, you've lost the people who you're leading, you've lost their respect. And when you lose someone's respect as a leader, you have to work on getting that back.
Right.
And that shows up in what you do, not what you say. And so it's your character development. So when we're talking about you being treated right. So today we're dealing with, if you're in a relationship that you feel like things are one-sided, or if you're feeling like you're being controlled, or if you're feeling like maybe you're the controller like Cherie was, what we want you to understand is that first and foremost, people treat you the way that you allow them to treat you.
Right. If you're in a situation and you don't like how you're being treated, if you feel like you're being, and Nikki, I'm going to just use the word you used earlier, lorded over. That number one, lording over somebody is not leadership.
Right. At all.
That's not leadership.
That's domination, and it's dictatorship.
Right. That's not leadership. Right. So if you're feeling like you're being lorded over, if you feel like you're being mistreated, whatever that mistreatment is, you have the right to stand up and say, no, you have to say no. It's no different. If somebody is hitting you upside the head,
right?
If somebody's hitting me, and I'm just putting my hands up,
boom, boom.
But I never say the word no.
Boom, boom.
I never say stop.
Boom, boom.
I'm allowing them to do this.
Boom, right. And your posture says that to me, it's okay. Right. In other words, you sitting there and taking this punishment will eventually, as sick as this is, will translate to the offender that that's okay.
Right.
That's acceptable.
Right. We were watching Chris Rock's
special last night. Oh my God.
Netflix last night. And he talks about, how, he was talking about all these mass shootings and things like that. But then he said, okay, but you don't hear anybody saying, somebody came in and stabbed, because the whole gun control, they're saying it's not the gun, that people kill people, it's not the gun. And so somebody has said, well, somebody can kill 100 people with a knife. It's like,
And Chris Rock said,
so if it's 100 people standing in a room,
said 3 of y'all got killed, but the other 97,
you
deserve that.
And the reason he said that is because if you're standing around and you're watching
a guy
come around and he stabs the first person, he stabs the second person, and you're still standing there, you're just watching. You haven't run. You're not in a defensive stance.
You haven't gone to get the authorities.
So you're watching. He's coming up. He stabbed another person. Oh, he stabbed somebody else. Oh gosh, he stabbed somebody else. He's getting closer to me. Oh, he stabbed them too. Oh, he stabbed them. Oh gosh, he just stabbed me. Oh gosh, he's stabbing the person behind me. You never say no. Your actions don't depict that you don't want to be stabbed.
And Cherie, listen, you said something that's critical right here, guys. Listen to me very carefully, guys. We communicate by what we do, not what we say.
Right.
Hear me clearly. I want to make a point. You communicate to people what's acceptable by what you do. It's through your actions that you communicate that. It's not necessarily by what you just say. And so listen to me very carefully. You can say no, but if the no doesn't look like something, they'll continue to do it. I'll just take it off of the physical abuse for a second and go here. If I tell you, listen, I need you to take out the trash every day at 7:00 because the man is going to come at 7:15 and he's going to take the trash. And so every Monday you need to have that trash out. And you say, okay, I'll do it. But then you don't do it. My actions say, I don't care about what it was that you care about or what you say do. Right. And so the truth of the matter is that it don't matter that I'm saying my bad, my fault, or I missed it, or I didn't understand. Like, I don't have 15 times to tell you that before you believe truth. You're not listening or you don't care, right? And so when that happens, guys, what we're saying is that you have the responsibility to say to the person, listen, I'm getting out of the way. Right. I'm going to move. I'm going to do something different. And that's where boundaries begin to come in. And what I want to help people understand is that when you erect good, healthy boundaries in your life and in your situation, and that's a skill set that, quite frankly, you have to be taught. Because most people don't know how to build a boundary. Boundaries are designed to protect, and they also are designed to provide. Right. So you both get freedom and protection with a boundary. Mm-hmm. And the reason why is because the boundary determines where the line is. Right. Here's the line. It's no longer acceptable for you to talk to me any kind of way.
Right. And I'll even use us as an example. Early in our relationship, Glenn was an arguer. He grew up in a household. They're very talkative.
You said was, but I'm not like that.
No, you're not anymore. And for me, it's not acceptable. You're not going to raise your voice at me. You're not going to scream down on me. That's a boundary for me.
Right.
And so early in our relationship, I had to tell him point blank, I'm not doing that. You're not going to talk to me in that manner. I consider it's disrespectful, and I'm not going to do that. And so for me, that meant when he would go there, I'd be like, look, I'm either leaving the room. Well, first I would say, look, you're not going to talk to me that way. Mm-hmm. You need to calm down and we'll have a discussion. If he couldn't calm down, I'm like, okay, fine. I'm leaving because we're not going to have that conversation. We're not going to.
Or I'm getting off the phone.
Right. Whatever.
I'm not hanging up. I'm getting off the phone. When you can calm down, call me back. Click.
Right. And so I had to erect that boundary. What happens oftentimes in relationships is that we don't feel like we can erect those boundaries for whatever reasons. It can be because you've been married for so long. It can be because you got kids. You don't want to rock the boat, whatever the reasons are. But I want to encourage you that you have a right to be treated right,
mm-hmm.
no matter what the situation is. I don't believe that anybody deserves to be mentally or verbally abused.
Absolutely. Or spiritually abused either.
Or spiritually abused. I think that you have a right to erect that boundary, but you have to remember you have allowed that person to treat you that way. So when you do decide to erect that boundary, you have to keep that in mind.
Yeah.
So you can't just come up with a straight wall all of a sudden.
Right.
Because you need to have a conversation with the person and say, okay,
I like that.
Over the years, this has been how things have gone in our relationship, but I've come to a point that I don't feel like that's acceptable anymore.
Right.
I would like for you to treat me this way.
Right.
Because when you treat me that way, this is how that makes me feel.
Right.
This is what that does to me.
Right.
It tears a part of me down when you come at me in this manner.
And you actually had that kind of conversation with me. And when you said, Glenn, when you raise your voice with me so that you understand, I'm not telling you don't talk to me. I'm not telling you that I'm not wrong. I'm not telling you that you don't get to challenge me. I'm not saying any of those things. What I am saying is that the manner of which you come at me tears me down on the inside, and it makes me shut. Your exact words were, it shuts me down. Right. And I'll never forget that.
Right. It was like I felt like this little girl that was in trouble again. Whenever somebody would yell at me, it would take me back to this place emotionally that is like I would just shut down and go into a shell. Yeah.
And what I didn't want, let me tell you something, as a man, I don't want my wife hiding from me.
Mm-hmm.
Can I say that again, guys? As a man, as a husband, even if I'm in a relationship with someone, I don't want you hiding from me. I don't want my children running for cover when I walk in the front door. If the kids are not running to me, there's a problem, and it ain't with them. Listen to me. If your wife is not coming to you, fellas, there's a problem, and it's not her. If your significant other isn't showing you, making steps toward you, they're running from you, positionally, or either, in conversation or in communication, there's a problem, and it's not them. Mm-hmm. And the truth of the matter is that, and I love what Jessica said, and she chimed in. It really makes a lot of sense. She said, I heard someone say that being a helpmeet sometimes means walking away in hopes it helps them. That they get help. Mm-hmm. It hopes to help them get help. And what I really hear her clearly saying is that until there's a boundary, until there's a conversation first, step one. See, first of all, let me help break this down really quickly. We don't have a lot of time. It takes time to build a fence.
Right.
It takes time to build a boundary.
Right. You don't go to work one day and just, nowadays.
Right. But still, it took time. I don't care.
Right. They have to go through a
We're
process.
not necessarily talking about how much time, but it takes time.
Right.
There's a process. You have to dig a trench. You have to dig a foundation. You have to pour some concrete, depending on how big the fence is going to be. You have to use what they call a post-hole auger. You have to aug down and be able to put the holes, the posts that's going to hold the gate together. You have to do that. If it's a wood fence, you have to put the stuff together. You have to build that. In a relationship, boundaries look like something. Part of the building process of a boundary in a relationship, number one, is to have a conversation about it.
Right.
Not about what they did, but how what they did made you feel.
Right.
And why, if you are important to me, I need you to treat me this way.
Right.
Secondly, your actions have to begin to line up with what your words say.
Right.
So you don't get to say this hurts, but then stay in a position to be hurt and then tell them that's a problem. It's like, dude, which one is it?
Right.
Is it hurting or is it not hurting? Because clearly you're saying, Cherie didn't tell me you can't talk to me and then allow me to keep talking to her like that. And it was just tone, guys. I was always on 12, right?
15.
And 15, 20, 25, 30. You get what I'm saying?
Right.
I could never dial it back or up and down. I just had one tone.
Right.
And so now I'm even conscious that although I'm passionate right now, my tone doesn't communicate you're in trouble. Does that make sense? Right. And so we're not necessarily talking about volume. We're talking about tone. I had to make that adjustment. And so I just want you guys to understand it's a process. But when you are inconsistent and you're not building that process with that person, the person never learns what a boundary looks like for you.
Right.
They never do. And so I always submit, particularly when we're coaching people, that's not fair to them.
Right.
Like you keep flip-flopping back and forth. It's like children, when you say you're going to get punished, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. And then all of a sudden you change your mind.
Right.
Because
you grounded for a month.
You realize that me grounding you this weekend,
go ahead,
this the weekend we going to see Black Panther. Oh my God, I can't ground them this weekend because if I ground them this weekend, that means I got to stay home with them. So you're grounded, but kind of not grounded. And so dude, which is it? And so at this particular point, I'm saying, no, make the decision and follow through and stick to it. We want to help you. Listen to me. If you guys are in a position where you feel like things are one-sided, we'd love to help you. I don't know if we can help you by telling you where to go elsewhere for help. If maybe you need to be coached, but I want you to go to this link right here. It's a free coaching assessment. You go to that link, you click on it, you fill out the assessment, you schedule out a time. It's totally free. We want to sit down for 30 minutes and talk to you about your situation and figure out how we can help.
And like you said, whether it's referring you somewhere else, it doesn't have to be you get coached with us. Our goal is to help you.
Absolutely. So if that's help you think through this process, for crying out loud.
Right. If we see that your situation is not something that we can personally help you with, we want to give you direction, help you go somewhere. It may be a resource, it may be something, but get help.
Yeah.
If you haven't been able to figure this out, if you haven't learned how to create those boundaries for yourself in your relationship, and you realize some things are off, you realize that you need some help, reach out for help. What happens a lot of time, especially in our community, is that people will stay in bad situations and never cry out for help.
Right.
Until it's crisis.
And then it gets so bad that now you're not crying out for help. People are rushing in to rescue you because it's bad. You get what I'm saying? That's not good.
Right. And so, we have this mindset that, what goes on in this house stays in this house. But when you're having issues, when you're having challenges, you need to reach out to somebody to get another perspective, to get it from somebody trusted, somebody safe, that's not connected to you oftentimes, because you don't want to go to your family. You don't want to go to people that are close to you because they're close to the situation.
Right.
And so get an objective ear, somebody to listen to you, that can hear what your situation is, that can hopefully help direct you in a direction for you to get the help that you need. And oftentimes it's not that hard.
Right.
It's just sometimes you can't, when you're in something, you can't see your way out.
Absolutely. You can't see. It's like being in a maze as opposed to looking down on top of the maze. You don't see that all you need to do is make a left, a right, and another right, and you're out. But because I'm on the outside looking in, or I'm looking down on your situation because I'm objective, I can say, here's what you need to do, and you can follow it if you implement that. So it doesn't have to be us, but if you want at least to talk about it, we're willing. Go to the link. It's a bit.ly link / MAPS free coaching assessment, all spelled out, all one word. Literally, you schedule a time, you'll take an assessment, you give us an idea of what your situation is. We'll get a chance to read that before we ever have a conversation with you. And then you get to schedule a time what's convenient for you, where you'll talk to either one or two of us or both of us, depending on the time you schedule it for. And guys, we just want to help you get help, because at the end of the day, I always say # we all need some help, but I really mean that, Cherie.
Right.
I think that too many people are going way too far along in their situation before they ask for help. And so by the time they do ask for help, sometimes there's nothing that can be done.
Right. And I believe, in marriage, you're going to have ups and downs. You're going to have some tough times, but it should not be bad all the time.
It shouldn't.
That is not normal.
Yep.
It should not be
any pain. Relationship shouldn't be bad all the time. It should
not be this
angst,
this angst. It should not be bad all the time.
Right.
If you're in a situation where it's bad the majority of the time, there's something off.
Yep.
And you need to reach out for help to find out what that is and how can you hopefully turn the tide in your relationship. We're not saying blow the relationship up.
No, not necessarily.
In most cases, it doesn't take that. In most cases, you can
make that adjustment. If
you're both two reasonable people, you can make the adjustments and make those changes. But the thing you also have to remember is that no matter what the situation is, you can't change another person, but you can change you. And when you change you, when you change what you accept, when you change how you respond, typically people change in their response to you. So if for years I've been allowing this person to beat me upside the head, and then I start putting up my guard and I'm saying, no more.
Right. I'm going to start saying, wait a minute.
differently.
Let me
they're going to
figure that out.
They're going to stop hitting me.
Yeah.
or if they want to hit on something, they're going to start hitting on something else, or they're going to leave.
Right. One of the two. Either way, you win. You
know, because now they're getting resistance against what they've been doing.
Right. And they realize it's no longer.
You know, like with bullies bully people.
That allow that.
For
all intents and purposes, that allow that.
Right. You know, you see these incidents when the person that's being bullied raises up on the bully.
Yeah.
The bully stops bullying them.
Generally speaking.
In most cases.
So what we're really saying, guys, and we got to run. But if you need help in that arena, if you're a replay viewer and maybe you're watching this and you're saying, you know what, I don't know what else to do, I don't know who to talk to, know this, we'll give you our ear. We absolutely will give you a shoulder to lean on for a quick set, to gather your thoughts, to gather your mind. You'll get your mental capacity back together so that you can make some solid decisions on what do you do next. And we'd love to do that. Just go to bit.ly/MAPS free coaching assessment.
And I just want to say this again. You deserve to be treated right.
Yes.
Men, women.
Yes.
You deserve to be treated right in your relationships. Nobody should be belittled. Nobody should be demeaned.
Yeah.
Nobody should be verbally or mentally abused in the confines of a relationship.
Yeah.
You don't deserve that.
Yeah.
You deserve better.
Yeah.
And we want to help you to be able to erect some boundaries, to be able to turn the tide in your relationship, so that your relationship can turn into a joy and not a drudgery.
Absolutely.
So that you can be treated right and so that you can treat your partner right.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Guys, we're getting ready to wrap up. We're getting ready to get out of here. Every week we're here on Saturday mornings trying to give you guys just some tips and some strategies on how to do things a little bit differently. We'd love for you to come in and be a part of our MAPS community at thecrcoach.com. Make sure that you sign up or just take a look at it if you want to be involved in that community, maybe some other things we've got going on. If you're looking to talk to somebody and you want to get some help, you just want an assessment, we can kind of give you some next steps. Go to bit.ly/MAPS free coaching assessment. And at the end of the day, guys, here's what I'm going to promise you. You have to do something different if you want something different.
Right. If you keep doing the same thing, you're going to get the same results.
And so we just like to close out by saying, as always, guys, hashtag we all need some help.
You guys have a great Saturday.
And we'll talk to you soon. Love you all.
Bye.
Bye.